Hello, hello, it's John Binnie. We are driving home from the Premier Inn near Edinburgh Airport, and I have spent the last many hours since 9 a.m. this morning. It is now 6 p.m. at night doing my Swedish massage training, and it is also my birthday. Woohoo! I am 48 as of today. And what's cool about those numbers, the four and the eight, four is like for me, the symbol of my higher self, and then the eight is like the infinity sign or infinity loop. And where is the bus coming? Um, which was really interesting because 47 for me was like four being my higher self, and then seven being um, my life path number. So whenever I see sevens, they're like, "You're on track, John. You're doing the right thing," and often quite life changing. Oh, my side door's open. Oh, that's annoying. I'm gonna have to pull over. I can't drive around with my side door open. Well, bear with me a second. I'm gonna have to stop and fix this. Right front door. Great. Fixed. I think after all that, it was actually just my my driver door. Okay, paying attention to driving and driving. 24 years ago, I used to work out here. It's Edinburgh Park. It's a little, everything seems so baby in Scotland. Even though this is a city centre, sorry, the city, one of the, probably one of the first kind of industrial, um, what do you call it, industrial estate, but it's mainly offices. I used to work in as my second developer job here. I moved down from Perth in Scotland and came down here. And it was doing programming, just as these buildings over to the left, doing programming for um, telecoms billing systems, so mobile phones. And I was enjoying doing lots of development. And it was a really cool experience. I also worked when I was doing banking. Years later, I also did work here. Wow, they have big speed bumps here. So now I'm taking a right around here. It has changed a bit since I was last here. It's a lot more speed bumps, that's for sure. Um, and yeah, what a beautiful birthday. I haven't read my social media comments since I've been busy all day, but I would like to thank you for your very kind birthday wishes. And quite a few of you messaged me directly and just want to say thank you. You know, there's these people that don't like to make a big fuss on their birthdays. I'm not one of them. It was quite funny. Um, I really love a bit of a fuss made. And so the two things happened in my massage training class. And in the morning, we were a combined class with the current reflexology class. And I only just met one of the students there. I only met her for the first time, although she says she saw me previously um, in the maybe like the first class we had, and she just after I think it was like during our first break, she came over. There was like cakes out that you could eat, and she came over and sang me. She knelt down in front of the whole class, where we were sat in a big circle, and sang me happy birthday. She has such a really lovely voice, and it was just so touching. It was like I felt like I've only just met you this morning, and here you are on your knee, very very kindly saying happy birthday to me. And loads of the class remembered, I guess in part because Berg wants me here, so we go left here. Oops, the right way. I'm not entirely sure. I think it is. Um, so that was just real lovely, and I was so grateful and had a cake. And and then later, so what happened is the class in the afternoon split up, and so the reflexology guys were were in a different class. It was just us doing massage, and just right at the start, uh, one of the class was kneeling in a corner. I wasn't really aware what she was doing, and then she'd bought these wee cupcakes, and she had a little star on it with a birthday candle lit, and started singing. Came over on her knees and started singing "Happy Birthday" to me, and I was like, "Oh, I was just, oh, just so touching." And everyone joined in, like the whole class. I think there's maybe 10 in the class. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really count. Maybe more. So that was just, it just just melted my heart. I'm just so grateful. I mean, I've only seen these people. Is that the third class maybe we've had together? I don't know, but you form, when you spend a whole day together, you do form stronger bonds together. So that was just really, real lovely, and I was just really, really grateful for for them. Um, and it also really helped me reflect on, because I loved receiving it so much, that it helped me reflect on my what I do for other people's birthdays. And also, there's a lesson in this for what you open yourself and attract in, right? Because I said at the start of the class, when it was both combined classes in the mornings, I said, I'm not one of those people that doesn't like to celebrate their birthday. Like, I love it. Um, I love being made a fuss of, and they absolutely did made a massive fuss of me. So as I reflect on both opening up for that, and then also how they made me feel, how touching it was, that I loved reflecting on, how I can make other people's birthdays feel more special, even when I don't, know them. Um, and a funny story is, I did try on my website to um, make people, like, to send them like kind of discount points. They're called loyalty points on my website, to send people these little be like, I can't remember what it was, like £10 or £20 worth of discount at every birthday. But when I turned it on, one of the first people that received an email about it, and it is automated. It's quite hard to tell who's gonna get it. Um, it seemed a little bit creepy what my website was doing, because the client didn't remember giving their date of birth, and it might just be as simple as they actually had entered it and just forgotten. But that needs to be, like, just carefully thought through. I'm reflecting on it. I'm pretty sure my website does ask, because the reason I ask is because I want to know that they're over 18. Also, I enjoy now telling people my age. It seems somehow important to share my age. You know, 48 seems like my wife and I have been, reflecting on when we'd like to retire. We'd love to retire early, as early as 55. It's our lifespans continue to increase, and especially if you listen to what my spirit guides, other people's spirit guides, and my clients' spirit guides, and the uh, future sessions I do, is that we're going to all live a lot longer than we expect. And I have done sessions that they're public. I did one with Aura Universe, and in that we saw me going to the future lifetimes of me, and I go through like a crystalline um, ascension, where instead of like turning like almost like after this body would traditionally die, my body ascends into like a crystalline version. Um, and so it's a transition, excuse me, like becoming more alkaline, raising vibration, upgrading the DNA, and transitioning into sixth dimensional crystalline form as I rise up through fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions. And that blows my mind. And so it's like, just the awareness, right? Like even if you don't need to like really believe all this stuff, but just the awareness that it could happen is, quite startling. I have quite a few clients that come to me recently who are later in life in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're asking the questions about what's their life mission, like why are they here. And I think first of all, the good news is it's always the right time. I think that's going back to one of the reasons I enjoy sharing my name is share my name, back to sharing my age. What I enjoy is that you can show that it's never too late to change a career, right? And the whole aging journey is just so, in many respects, magical. Because I also feel that and this is all true, right? I've never felt fitter. I've never felt stronger. I've never felt more mentally alert. I've never felt as mobile. Maybe my mobility was better when I was like pre kind of teenage. Um, but I've never felt so good, full stop. And that's just been incredible. And regardless of how I look, don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for how I look and my health, my body. Um, it's more that it just feels so good. And I never, it's just not how our Western culture in particular, if anything, as people get older, we tend to be more dismissive of them in our lives. But that's not true of all cultures in the world at this time, right? Like many celebrate old age and elders and the wisdom that you accrue, you gain and develop. And I feel that, these things are all important aspects of the ever changing and transformation aspects of age. So where was I going with all this? Yeah, the messages about why I enjoy sharing my age, because I feel, in some respects, parts of me feel old for some things, and I mean feel compared to the rest of maybe modern Western society. Maybe I'm later on in my career to be changing to a new career, and yet it feels perfectly timed. I feel um, I'm one of, am I one of the older people in my classes? Maybe, probably am. I think reflexology there was older people than me, and it's funny. It just doesn't occur to me at all. And I also don't spend a lot of time really thinking about other people's ages. Uh, so I don't like spend, think for a minute about the rest of the whether it's reflexology or the massage classes. Don't really pay much attention to it. I'm much more interested in, getting to know the person, making connections. And I love that, like the ageless aspects. Um, when I'm doing sessions for clients that are older than me, I don't feel, in any way less experienced or less wise, and yet, they lived a lot longer, and vice versa than me, and vice versa for younger people. I don't feel somehow like parenting them in any way, because I feel like some of these are just themes for some recent clients. Is that for the people in there that are older than me are often from this like first wave, and some of them have said that to me. They're in like the first wave, like paving the way. Uh, and so when you're a baby in like the 50s and you're growing up in the 50s and 60s, like my parents were both born in 1950. That they were really helping prepare the way, like the ground troops before the first like mass awakenings, and yet so much happened in the 60s, um, and so much of that evolution of our spirituality in the 60s helped pave the way for at very least the music that I listened to. The Beatles um, was a big thing. I also listened to Jimi Hendrix a lot when I was growing up. Um, and they were some of the most incredible programming in my life. It really, really opened me up. Um, and I feel that so I feel like there's this huge respect for the first wavers. Like they've been through just incredible journeys. Coming into a planet that was in a Western society that was really very closed uh, to our awakening journeys, and the need for us to do our inner work and help change this world. Although I'm sure in pockets it it was it was happening. Um, and then for younger people, and I see in people in their 20, like late teens. I don't do sessions for people under 18, but um, in their late teens and into 20s, they are they're often very wise, like old souls. And I know if this was waves, I guess I would counting, maybe I'd be about like a second wave, and then these are like third wave. Um, and they're just incredible, right? Their abilities are very, very strong, and they they are also hungry for more guidance. Um, and I love about what I love about our lives is, I was about to say just about my life. I can talk about that in a moment, but I see this. I, I see this pretty much with every single, or almost without exception. I see this with every single client that comes to me and asks about their life mission. And then we go into their Akashic records and look at their futures, just like I experienced. Um, and we ask their guides and we ask their higher self, and we talk loads about what they want in the future. What's incredible to witness is they their life up till then has been perfectly orchestrated for them to happen, for them to grow them. So if you're like, let's say you're 70 years old, and then you're questioning like, why did I come here? What am I going to do with my life? It it's like the first 70 years of your life have been, it's all been on track. It's all been as part of a mission. You just weren't fully aware of the mission. And what's cool about it is that it's like almost like some sort of like secret mission impossible, where you don't know what your mission is, because if you did know it, it would dramatically alter your course. And that's so true for me. Do you think I would have stuck around 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence if I thought that my mission was to raise the vibrations of billions of hearts and balance hearts and light, help millions of people through their awakening journeys? I would, even if I didn't agree with it or didn't fully like put myself into that mission, it would change me. I'd be like, I'm I'm doing the wrong thing, or I'm rebelling against that mission that my soul signed up for. So it turns out, of course, so many things, and I'm just going to use myself as an example because it's easier and doesn't breach any client confidentiality. So, for example, if I think about all the skills I need right now, I need, so first of all, I need to know how to build a website. Well, in 2012, I used to work for a company that built websites for banks and, well, mainly banks, but also what else do we do? Like uh, construction, vehicles, insurance companies, charities, hotels. There was quite a football club as well, the Spurs Football Club in London. Um, so there was like a whole range of things. And whilst I didn't design them, I spent many hours with designers, helped clients a lot. I was responsible for the development team, so we are the ones building the sites. And you learn a lot, even by osmosis. I love osmosis as a term, as a mental model for learning. Um, so that was a lot of fun. And what else did I need to learn? I learned about marketing. Now that's really interesting. I guess I learned a little bit about marketing when I was busy developing websites at company. I went on to another company when we're doing serious games and simulations. So we did firefighter simulations, like 3D, like it looked a bit like Call of Duty, but with firefighters and helping them train through different scenarios. And we used 3D headsets and all kinds of stuff. And I guess the marketing, my strongest marketing exposure was at trade shows. So people would come along to your stand and you would like hook them in, ask them if they're interested in, your products, and then you tell them all about the advantages. And I really loved that. I always got a real buzz out of doing that. Um, I think the other thing that really helped me do it online though for the first time was my music. And what's so funny about my music is, you just I often used to think before I started talking to spirit guides and this sort of thing that perhaps my intuition wasn't that strong, but I was just obsessed. Uh, and often people would tell me that quite obsessive about things. So as soon as I got something in my mind, I would just latch onto it. And that was really funny because, well, actually, a lot of it was also intuition. And I just had these strong, strong urges to do things. Now, more recently, if I think just about more recent examples, like the last 2 years, I invested a lot of money, thousands of thousands, in having a, a soundproof music studio built. And of course, I thought that actually it was going to be for music, and hence why I paid so much money for sound installation. And it's like if you've seen the videos where I'm like clicking my fingers and it doesn't um, sort itself, it doesn't like empty all the stuff out. It it is empty now. I just hadn't, I couldn't be bothered. I was so tired after doing all the emptying. It took over 2 hours. I couldn't be bothered clicking my fingers again. But it also needs a revamp. So maybe that'll be like the perfect segue to, I haven't actually finished the kind of remainder of my snapping my fingers and it turning perfectly. So the revamp is next. And it's perfect time coming up with the holidays. I Let me see if I can overtake this lorry, which is as lovely as it is. I really need to get around it. Um, So yeah, like I just had this really strong compulsion to do it, and it like our house was the perfect house. It's like it's a whole manifestation success story in itself. You know, it was a downsizing house. We wanted smaller. We wanted, or should I say, right size for us, and we wanted something like a double garage or a room that I could soundproof. And of course, with a double garage, um, you could convert half of it. So I did that, and it just felt so right. And I also bought a really fancy microphone, which you know now you would know me. I'm just used to using that all the time. The Shure SM7B. This is not sponsored by Shure. Um, the sound quality is just fantastic, and of course all this equipment and the soundproofing as well is just perfect for client sessions for doing my quantum psychic readings, clearings, healings, um, all this stuff online. And so that is just super enjoyable to do. I oh, what else can I say happened in my life? I learned a lot about um, business. I don't know like where specifically I learned the most about business. Probably a mix of I worked for a company called G2G3. I was talking about like simulations and stuff, where I learned about, you know, how much it costs to hire someone, plus their, you know, not just their salaries, which I've been doing, like hiring people for many years, but also like in the UK, pay like national insurance on top of that. There'd also be the costs for their desks and heating and all these things. Because it was like a startup company that just grew, and I grew to managing, I grew, well, I guess I did, managing 75 people, which, you know, in my world was huge, and it was amazing being the CTO, the chief technical officer for that company, and I just really loved the journey of being able to help deliver these big projects. These my first kind of multi-million pound projects. Not that I earned anything like that, but you know the number of people we had costs a lot. And the projects made, you know, I'm sure they made a lot of money for the company. But that really helped me, especially like talking to the finance guys, talking about the office space, talking about the limitations of expansion. You know, that was all fantastic. I also learned in that startup, and I've been in three startups in total before my own business. You learn, you know, that you're the cleaner, you do the marketing, you do the social media, you do the building of office desks, you know, you set up all your servers and network and like all these things I've found really important. Now, this is getting quite a long list, but of things, skills I needed. But if I recap, without boring you about my entire career, if I recap about the skills that I've learned, even just like the practical skills before I started my own business, it's included how to run a business, how to market, how to build websites, how to learn the technologies of like launching your own mobile app. And I'm praying that the Apple mobile app, it would just be so amazing if it launches this week, but it's still currently stuck with Apple review. The Android app is out, and for iPhone users, you can use the Wix Spaces app. Um, and oh, what else? Like managing people as well. Like it was the thing I loved the most was managing people, and it was just so much fun and helping develop people. And I feel like that part of the job I really love to do in mentoring, like you know, mentoring people for several weeks and months and developing them. And I had my first proper taste of that this year, January, and it's just been an incredible year, like bringing people on their journeys, usually seeing them like once every week. And also I see it the training courses as well. That's a lot of fun. But I love. There's more and more skills I learned, but it felt whilst at the time I had no idea what my mission was. Literally, I had no idea I'd be doing this sort of thing. Um, the skills I was learning were clearly vital for me to go and do this work. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking of starting your own business similar to what I do, you don't have to learn all these things yourself, right? In fact, when I first started, I created a milkshake website. It's a free website, and it just runs. It's like designed for mobile. I think it has quite a few adverts on it. You can create like 2 or 3 screens. It's really easy to do. Just get like maybe get 10 pictures of yourself. Do like an about page, a booking page, a little page about the services you offer, maybe a page on testimonials, and really, really simple, really lightweight and free. And from there, I just someone said, "Oh, you can create like a Stripe payment integration where people can pay upfront and you receive their money upfront." And then later went on to Wix, which is what I use primarily now for my main websites and contact management and mobile app and payments, at least an interface to the other payment providers. So just a whole list of things. Um, so where was I? Yeah, just talking about the skills you need. What I have seen in clients who are talking about themes is, you know, people will often put themselves in, or their souls have chosen to put them in life journeys where they're having to learn what it's like having few boundaries. You know, it's like never the other way around. You know, if you're like so few people have boundaries that are too strong or too robust for them, and that they're missing out. That's really rare. It's much more the other way around. Very empathetic people that absorb other people's energies, that put other people first. Um, and it's, you know, I now know, and I learned that if you really want to serve the world, you can't put other people first. You have to fill your own cup because you will burn out like so fast. I know I would have already burnt out probably a few months ago if I hadn't learned how to fill my cup first. And it's not enough to say, oh well, I'll just pay myself lots of money first. Like the money isn't enough to save your health, right? In fact, if anything, lots of money puts you under even more pressure and tests you more about your way of life. And I know practitioners at the moment, including some clients, who are working really, really crazy hours, like every day, evening, weekend. Well, they're working so much, and what they get in return for money is great, but their health is really suffering. You know, finding it hard to get sleep at night, feeling really drained, feeling like they're picking up and absorbing their clients' energy. That is a whole other subject, by the way. I should definitely give that some thought about potentially a dedicated video for it. Maybe we'll have time just now. We still have another 20 minutes. So yeah, learning these like themes of when you just absorb other people's energy and then you don't put yourself first, you realize what your soul is doing is learning that all these real life experiences of both what that feels like to allow people to overstep, you know, notional boundaries they might have. For example, a boundary might be working later than you're happy with. And if you keep doing it, like I've worked with US companies for so long. In fact, I've worked with customers in the US since I think like 2003, so like definitely over 20 years, and around the world, and you know, Japan and Australia, South Africa, around Europe, of course, Canada, loads of different countries. What it's taught me is that you will burn yourself out fast trying to cope with these time zone differences and doing too much. And I'm living that again now, right? It's like trying to figure out the right balance of, you know, servicing my dear customers in the US and Canada at a sustainable pace, whilst not like overburdening myself. So it's really fascinating lessons. And when you learn about your boundaries, you realize, oh, I just needed to say like this is non-negotiable for me. So I could, for example, at some point say, well, I'll never do a session past 6 p.m., which is 10 a.m. Pacific time. Um, so yeah, these are really helpful to see both what your boundaries could be, what your boundary feels like when it's roughly overstepped, because often you've never, most of the time, many of us don't even define a boundary, but we just feel in this kind of really ambiguous space in our lives, like working too late is maybe a term you might not be happy with. It feels wrong for you, it feels exhausting. Eventually when you create a boundary, it's so helpful. And I remember when I worked at my last company at Amazon, all I would do is just say to our colleagues in US and Canada that we finish our working day at 6. And although it's late compared to often they'd be like somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m. their time, it allowed, often we were working with people on the West Coast in Seattle, Vancouver, in Canada. Um, I know Seattle is in America. I've been there many, many times. But what was really fascinating was that journey would I'd often just say that's when we finish, and a lot of the time that was true. Although because I was a senior manager and I was often helping firefights, I'd often be invited to many later meetings. But I would just tell them, I'd just say, look, it really has to be urgent, and I'd also just decide like maybe a vice president would, it's like the level, like under certain, what are the exceptions? And you just define that boundary. Just say, well, if there's a vice president meeting, I would, dial in late if I didn't have another family engagement. And what's so important in those boundaries I found is that you've got to be prepared to lose your job over it, right? Because if you don't stand your ground and say, there's a good reason why you've made your boundary non-negotiable. And so if it's overstepped once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, eventually you've got to be able to say to yourself, and ideally you just do this once, just like once or twice that it breaks at most, that you say, this is not the company for me. And then you execute that boundary and you say either you leave or you tell your company, this is my boundary for me. And if you keep doing this, then I would leave. And they may say to you, well, we don't want you, but that's the way boundaries work, right? You've got to say, I draw a line. Of course, I apply my own common sense, and of course, I need to earn money, but I can't just be. There can't be a wishy-washy middle ground where I'm just upset and burning myself out. I have to like decide whether it's the right company for me or not, or tell them how I feel and spell out the boundary. And if it's not obeyed, then they're unhappy with me leaving at that time, then they would, lightly act as well. And you've just got to be confident that it's the right thing for you for your health. And now, looking back, if I'd had stronger boundaries, and one of the startups I was in was incredibly unprofessional and was very difficult to kind of work with people that just weren't professional. They didn't respect your own boundaries. In fact, they often didn't respect you. And so it's just like I think if I'd actually had strong boundaries when I first started that company, I would have been out. Either I would have left or been fired. It's very difficult to fire people in the UK, but like offered a package or something to leave, it would have probably happened in the first few weeks. But instead, no, 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 no. I had to like stay there for like almost a year, I think, and made myself really, really miserable as a result. And notice that I don't say that the people made me miserable, and whilst their actions did upset me a lot, a lot of the time, it was my choice to stay there, right? Okay, I eventually decided to leave, but it was like, it was well overdue. I should have left, or could have left, should I say, to help myself much earlier. So yeah, these are just some of the lessons that you're being set up, like preparing yourself to learn, right? Before you fully step into your mission. Um, and I had some really fascinating chats today with the students that I was massaging. They're not my massage students, they're probably classmates. Uh, and they're asking, really intrigued about, my journey. Um, had two people, yeah, asking like, what are spirit guides? Like one who is a potential client, and I think you just subscribed to my YouTube channel. I won't name you, but hello to you if you're watching. And they're just asking me so many questions, and they're asking me so many questions. They kept asking if it's okay to ask questions, and I said yes, like please do. So I have, lots of questions. For example, when did you realize you're a psychic? What were you like? Has it always been on for you? Like your abilities? What's it like? Do you turn them on and off? What's it like when you're doing, you know, uh, like massage or reflexology for people and you've not asked them permission? Like what do you receive? What happens? Um, what when did you come out as psychic? How do people react when you left your job? Like just all these things. It's just super, super fascinating. Um, and yeah, the reality is that it's just incredible to experience when people ask you these things. It helps you form your own answers, and in many respects, like I find it very therapeutic because I hear myself saying it. So, for example, I really probably came out as psychic in last year, so just over a year ago, in a meditation class where I was learning to be a meditation teacher, and for the class of about 10 or so women, um, after so many meditations, and we would meditate a lot, obviously, in a teacher training class, um, we meditated several times a day. Almost every meditation, I'd be like trying and saying at the end, I think I'm psychic. Like I am psychic, or I used to be a witch, or I am a witch now. Like I would just start to share all these things more and more. And it's just been so incredible um, to both share that and then to um, settle in my own head, like that these are really important things. And perhaps I'll add some of these things to my training courses, think about what the label or the term of being psychic means to you. And if so many of us hide, uh, for instance, I used to hide behind quantum energy healing, and I'd say, or quantum readings. I just did not want to use the word psychic. And these are really important things to do, right? Like if you feel that it's important to you to to share these things and to be the whole you, then you must do it unconstrained, right? And for me, that was a fear. It was a fear of sharing my whole truth. And and even to my friends and family and loved ones was only very recent that I fully came out as psychic. And I love the idea that it's like you're coming out of your psychic closet, or out of your witch closet, or your warlock, or your magician, or your like whatever it is that you're scared of or have some resistance to sharing about yourself that feels true for you. And yeah, okay, they're just labels and definitions for humans, but it's so important for you to connect with these aspects of you and to feel fully liberated and comfortable. And I do just say freely to people now, I often call it like psychic work. I'll say, and I also do psychic work. Um, and I feel it's helpful because I know and believe that everyone has psychic abilities. And just like going to the gym or running or any sport or anything in life, like if you practice it, the better you get at it. And yes, there's many people that are practicing it now who have had these abilities since they're young and never really shut them down. But I've been someone that did shut them down for many years. Um, I shut mine down for about, if I do the maths, 34 years. So from the age of 6 to 40 was when my gifts were turned off. So it's like those 34 years is a real long time. It's a lifetime, right, of not using these aspects of yourself. I also found myself describing today the concept of spirit guides to one of the fellow students she's a yoga teacher, and she didn't really know what spirit guides were, and so I explained a bit about them. And I said, to be honest, what you often find is that when people develop their ability to talk to spirit guides, that they realize that the feeling of talking to them has often been with them their whole life, or at very least the times that they've been practicing to and asking to connect with them. And it's like it's like a stronger, higher aspect of your intuition. It's certainly your higher self. That is your higher self, right? It's like the highest aspect of you. I often I see the higher self as the highest version of you in this lifetime. And of course, if you live for a very long time, you keep getting higher and higher in vibration, then your higher self is in really good shape. And I go really, really high vibration. Anywho, we're coming up on home. I'll just flip you around. Uh, I am going home. My family are eating in our new kitchen for um, to do like a little buffet dinner, which is very sweet of my wife to organize. I'm excited for that. So we'll do presents and they'll generally spoil me and then we'll do whatever it is we do to relax. It's still just coming up on, it's just past 7 p.m. Um, that was quite a long drive home, but I really enjoy the massage. You know, when you love something, you don't really feel tired after it, you just feel joyous. And yeah, there's a lot of work to do. I've got to do 70 hours of massage to qualify. So that'll be a real adventure, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And I'm excited to um, keep learning. Like, yeah, today we're doing massage on the arms, hands, neck, and chest. And oh, I just felt really, really good um, to give and receive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. And who knows what the psychic massage will be like, but um, or if I'll do it. But I feel like it will it'll grow on me, um, just like psychic reflexology did. And yeah, that's me. Thank you for watching. 48 minutes of me driving in the dark home. It's lovely to chat with you. Whenever you comment and you say you've watched it and you've watched the whole thing, and when you encourage me to make these videos, I just want to say I'm so grateful. It's truly touching. And I'm just really grateful for both this experience and then also for your love and support. It feels like many of you sat right next to me in the other two seats here, so thank you. And this is me getting home, so thank you so much. And I'm sending so much love from Scotland. Take care.